All right, so we have our T-slot loaded with the name we want. That's that Turner with the stars on both sides. Now this order, they asked for silver foil. I have lots of foils. I love having all these foil options. My personal favorite is the matte gold. I think it looks so slick on pencils. This customer ordered silver, which is also beautiful. I always leave a little tail with pressed foil at the end, because that way you need some space to pull it through. Your pencil's gonna go under here. And so if this were all just blank foil, if I cut it off at the end, then I'm wasting foil. However, foil is pretty affordable, so you don't have to worry too much. I always like to set my machine around 121, 122 to start, and then go from there. And then you will see I have this big mug, my Dolly Parton Ambition mug, filled with tester pencils. So these are pencils. Before I press the actual pencils for a set, I do a couple presses on my testers, and that way I can make sure, double check that the text is correct, loaded on the T-slot, and also that my temperature is working and that everything's working well. So I offer a couple of different pencil sets. This order is for my standard colored pencil set. These are blank hexagon colored pencils. The ones I order, they come straight from the manufacturer, and I have them come in tubes, and that's because I mostly sell these with my coloring posters, and so I can ship them in the middle of the posters, which is perfect. This is my standard set. Now, these pencils, every pencil you have is gonna have a different finish. My standard colored pencils have this glossy finish versus my pastel, which have a matte finish. So I only test on other pencils from this set, because what I'm learning is every single pencil stamps very differently. So my T-slot's been loaded for a couple minutes. It's probably warmed up, maybe not, but I'm gonna pull a tester pencil. The cool thing about testers is you can get at least 12 stamps on a pencil. And the thing is when you're in this, if you're doing this for a business especially, you can't worry about wasting pencils, because every test you do is really important, because then you make sure that it's actually stamping the way you want it. So for me, I'll show you a close-up later, I have some wooden blocks that I set up to just to push my pencils against. Some folks in our pencil stamping group have created jigs, which is gonna be my next step. These arms, I tighten them. There's a screw at the back, you can tighten them and they'll hold your pencil really nice and tight. But every time I put a new set in, I pull my stamper down and see how lined up it is. It looks like it's okay. I'm gonna pull the foil in, do a quick stamp. I haven't stamped pencils in a while. Let's see how this looks. And actually, that looks beautiful. Can you see it? That's a beautiful stamp. So I did this on the end because it's a tester. Obviously, the pencils for this order I do not want on the end like that. So I'm gonna find another tester that I can use the end of so I can check placement. You'll see these are, the more you do this, the more pencils are gonna end up in your tester mug, but that's okay. So every time I stamp, I'm gonna check the alignment. To make it so, these are obviously all hand stamped, so they're not gonna be perfectly exact, every single one, but I always align with my colored pencils. I just align the end of the pencil with the very end of the base of my machine to start and see how I like it. Now I'm looking with my eyes to test. I'm gonna do a little adjustment. It is not an exact science. There really is an art to this. And then I'm lining my foil up, quick press, perfect. So I don't know if you can see that. Look at that. Turner, I like this distance personally from the end of the pencil. It's not all the way at the end, but it isn't too far in the middle. This one's I might have pressed a little too hard. If you can see, there's a little bit of bleed. And so when your foil bleeds, your temp is a little too high, or you're pressing too hard or too long. So you really do need to get a feel for it. I feel comfortable loading up my pencils for the set. So I am gonna do that right now. Every pencil before I stamp it, I double check to make sure that it looks nice and it's saleable. I place these really big orders. I buy these in bulk, and sometimes some of them come with some abnormalities and I can't sell them, but there's no worries about that because those just become testers. Look at that. Turner, perfect. And so I wasn't sure if I wanted a space between the letters and the symbols, but for this particular name, I like the way it looks close together because the letter T and the letter R both come in. If this were a name that started with an N, for example, I might put a space between the star and the N, but this particular name looks great without a space. So that is one. And I forgot to tell you, I do ask my customers if these are for a righty or a lefty, because I want the children who are using these to be able to read their name when they're using it. So a righty has to be oriented like this, but if you were a lefty, your name would be upside down, and that's no fun. So we would have stamped it the opposite way. I would have loaded the name basically upside down and stamped the pencils that way for a lefty. I think it's the little details that count. So here we go. I'm gonna eyeball it. For some reason, I keep on pushing it a little bit too far in. I have a very, very homemade jig in here. The thing with the foil is really affordable. Look at that. Beautiful. The foil is just, you get tons and tons of foil for not a super high cost. So we always, I would much rather move the foil too much, maybe get a few less stamps out of the foil, than waste a pencil because I was trying so hard to conserve foil. I ended up getting a bad press out of it. There we go, pencil number 3. This is a 12 pencil set. So it does take a little while to go through them. I'm gonna do quality check here. The other thing you might find is different foils, they really do behave differently on different pencils. And the more you press your own pencil sets, if you offer standard sets, the way I do, what I'm doing now, I'm gonna interrupt myself, I'm looking, you can see through the old stamps because it ends up being cut out of the foil. So I was just looking for placement. There we go. What was I saying? The more you get used to your pencil sets, the better feel you're gonna get for what temperature each pencil needs, what kind of a stamp in terms of pressure. You're probably getting a horrible view of the back of my head, so I apologize for that. But the more you get used to it, it really becomes about a feel, and you'll get a feel for it. And we're very, very picky with our pencils. So if we mess up, if we make a mistake, or if one letter doesn't come out perfectly, we just turn that pencil into a tester. And then I open a new set. I always take out a couple sets. This is an extra set of my colored pencils. We open a new set, and all the pencils that we don't need from that new set go in here, and they become extra. So if we mess it up, I pull one from the extra. And I know with a business, especially if you're just starting out and you're really working with a little bit of investment money, it hurts every time you have to, feel like you waste something. But I really think it's better to send out perfect products and really well done products than not. And you'll end up using those pencils anyway in another set. Look at that. I love this name, Turner. It's so unique and cool. All right, so we are heading, now I think I have 5 left in this set. And you'll see, because I don't have a jig specifically designed for my colored pencils, I'm checking each time just eyeballing it. And shockingly, I haven't wasted a pencil yet, but it'll happen. But the thing is, with any business, you're gonna have waste. And once we finish, so all these pencils in our tester mug, once we test them, once we use them as testers as much as we can, and there's no more room for pressing them, we put them back into sets, and I just donate them to my kids' school. And they have more colored pencils to use. And the kids don't even really care whose names are on the colored pencils. The foil is so pretty that it's fun for them to use them anyway. And so I don't think that's a lot of waste at all. Look at this. We're down to the final two. Look at that. Here we go. And I love, as a business, I love being able to create these items that are really special, but they're simple and they're affordable. So they're accessible to a lot of people. See, this one's a little bit, I'm gonna interrupt myself. See how there's a little bit of bleed there? I'm gonna make this a tester, and I'm gonna pull an orange from here. I had an orange from a former set that I had to pull a different color out of. And so that one doesn't pass quality control. And if that was like the second or third pencil for this set that had too much bleed, I would adjust my temperature. But now I'm just adjusting. It's really minute, but I did adjust my pressure. And that seemed to do the trick. And then see this pencil? There's a little bit of a gap in the coverage. So I'm gonna toss this one. So my set comes with 2 different colored browns, because for colorists, it's really nice to have options. For browns, this is a maroonish brown. So this one doesn't pass quality control, it becomes a tester. This is a beautiful brown. And this one is gonna become the pencil for the set. And I love that I get to provide these personalized gifts that truly delight children to see their name on a pencil. And someone named Lori, L-O-R-I, Lori, who did not get a lot of pre-made personalized stuff in stores growing up because they were all for the L-A-U-R-E Loris. I think it's extra fun. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm moving my machine so you can see, I lay them all out and just take a look at how the set looks together. Sometimes I take a picture and it's a double check. And I really have to double check this set because I've been talking to you while I made it. So it's probably even more likely that I would miss something. So I'm laying them out color-wise. A little rainbow here. And I actually already see one that I want to redo. So I left my T-slot in because I don't want that to cool off until I'm absolutely certain I'm done. And here, my yellow is just not perfect. I don't know, can you see how the top of the E is missing? So I was a little too high up. That means the pencil was a little too far, too close to the machine. So this yellow becomes a new tester. And now I pull a perfect yellow out again from here. And I think when you are a pencil stamper and you're providing these delightful gifts, I think it's important to be a perfectionist. Oops. Okay, so never leave your foil under the machine the way I just did because it'll get hot and that could also affect the stamp. Here we go. Let's see how this one turns out. So I'm not sweating the wasted pencils. Oh, that was a little hard. Let's see. Perfect. what I'm really excited about is to get a perfect set. And so now we have these perfect pencils for Turner, who will hopefully love it. Turner's getting a really beautiful personalized coloring poster as well. They fit nicely in this tube. Ba-boom. And in the next video, I'll show you how I wrap this particular set of colored pencils. Thanks so much.